Happy Thursday. So excited to be here. We have a lot to talk about. So I'm going to go ahead and get going. I'm just making sure that it's going in the Facebook group just because that will not show up for me on this platform I use to stream everywhere. So just want to make sure that it's doing well and I could see their names because the names do not show up. There we go. Okay. So we are going to go ahead and get going. We're talking about cold calling, but not just cold calling, how to bring it from cold to sold. And I was talking to a few people this week and last week during our masterclass last week, and how scared or nervous they were, but also like they'll get on the phone finally, and then they're like, what do I say? How do I say it? And all of those things. So I wanted to kind of bring that awareness on top of it to everything that's going on there. And so we're going to kind of talk about what's going on in your real estate journey when you start talking to sellers. How do you get it from cold leads to sold? Now, one thing I want to say about this, though, is that regardless of how you approach it, you cannot think this as you are bothering them. And how that means is I've talked about this in the past. We have a coach who talks about how just one investor would have reached out to her during some of her hardest times before she got into real estate, it would have saved her embarrassment from being foreclosed on, from being kicked out of her house, and all of that. So you have to stop, because women, we just naturally think we're always bothering people. Instead, work on it that I am just trying to get to the people that really need a solution. And that helps you. The other tip I will say when it comes to talking to sellers is you have to remind yourself that every deal requires a seller of some sort in real estate. So when you think of that way, you have to realize if you want to do really well in real estate, you do need to talk to the owner of whatever property, land, mobile homes, residential, commercial. It doesn't matter. You have to be able to talk to people. So instead, don't make it about how this is going to affect me. What is this going to do to me? I'm dealing with this, and that. Instead, turn around and make it about the person that you're going to help. And even when you come across the negative people, respond in a positive way. And remind yourself, I'm here to help people. And as long as you show up in that and stop worrying about where it will do for you, right? Is any of this landing? Comment, let me know, say hi. But if when you do that, you will see things turn around for you pretty fast. So let's give some tips on, okay, you're going to make the calls. You have talked about it. You're moving forward with it. What do you do at that point? So what we do when it comes to cold calling is the biggest thing is you have to be prepared to show up, prepared with your questions. Now we give, like, our students have a very thorough script. We do calls every week training them on talking to sellers and negotiations. We do now cold calling clinics. We do a lot of things like that to have them prepared so they feel great in the negotiations and talking to sellers. But at the end of the day, what's going to work the best is you getting on the phone. So making sure that when you get on the phone, you have something in front of you. Doesn't need to be full scripted because you will sound scripted otherwise. You want to keep this natural, like I say, talking to a friend with a little bit of authority, and be able to talk to them and have your questions in there of like conditions of home and stuff like that. Sellers, I hate to say it this way, they're never going to be truthful of the real condition of their home. Okay. Even as an investor, I see it all the time, but someone that sells homes, like, you're going to see that pretty often, that you're going to actually get in there and see that the sellers have not been completely honest. And that's why loopholes and contingencies are in there to really help you. So, Laura, as far as power of preparation, do you want to say anything on that before I go into the other steps that we talk about?
Well, as far as preparation, I don't know if you said, but it's really a mindset shift that you have to make from the beginning, right?
Mhm.
The thing is, one of the best things, like I said, yeah, Liz said, about the scripts. My vision is about scripts. I don't like to use scripts. I feel like they take away from the true connection that you make with the other person, right? Because at the end of the day, it comes to connection. And obviously, you want to know, the main thing I want to know is the motivation behind it. What are they trying to do? If there's somebody that's already selling their property, like a for sale by owner, for example, then I want to understand what's going on in their life right now that they want to sell the property. If there's somebody that does not want to sell, it depends on the situation, right? Is that if they want to go ahead and find out, if the property is vacant, if the property needs work, and so forth. That's what you want to find out, is that what is going on there, that the property is in that condition. And you have nothing to lose by saying, they say to you, well, I don't want to sell it, and the property is being vacant and needs a ton of work. Okay, so what is going on there that you don't want to sell it, right? Because it says, no, I'm not interested. You have nothing to lose to bring the conversation further.
Yeah. So that's a really good point. So I hope some of that helped there. And then let's move into the next step, which is how to introduce yourself. You have 3 seconds once a seller gets on the phone to make an impression to where it doesn't turn around and they want to hang up on you. And so you want to kind of think about what is a very short, we call it even an elevator speech in the marketing. You give like 10 seconds of what's the quickest way, right? What's the quickest, most in front? You could either say, hey, is this blank? It grabs their attention, especially if it's their name. They're like, okay, yes, but who is this? Now, what's funny is I have someone at my house right now doing things around the house, but the other day she got a call from an investor, and that's exactly how they grabbed her attention. Was they said, hey, is this? And that's what we teach some of our students. We have different introductions. And so grabbing their attention is really, really quick, and then keeping it short. Don't waste a lot of their time. Because if you notice, think about yourself when you get called out of the blue. You're not expecting it. It's someone you don't know. Keeping that response as quick as possible. Hey, is this blank? Yes. Okay. Hi, my name is this. I am trying to, talk to you about blank, right? So property or things like that. So keeping it really short and also providing the value instantly. How are you going to solve their situation? Now, one things I would say is don't say, hey, I saw your house was in foreclosure, right? Laura, I know you have some really fun tactics of how you got around that for the foreclosure, that you want to give a few tips on what you kind of say instead of being like, and also maybe talk about why people that are going through any kind of situation would struggle there if they hear that.
Yeah. Whenever you come across something that's either foreclosure or a property that's tax delinquent, going up for auctions, anything like that, people can get very sensitive about it. So, I just say to them, hey, I came across your house and I understand that you're going through some challenging times right now, or I understand there's some things going. And then if I ask you, how did you find my information, or how do you know that I'm going through challenging times? You just simply say, well, the information is available online, as a public information, right? Which it is. That's how you found out. So with that said, that's how I say that. And but you want to be very tactful about it, because a lot of people, if they one of the things I noticed when I was doing short sales 15 years ago, and everybody was doing short sales, it's like, oh, it's a very challenging, competing market. It's always been like that, since I started in the 80s. It's always been a saturated market, because people go for the same things, investors. But anyway, how you stand out? You stand out by coming in a little differently, right? So one of the things is how you do your direct marketing. Thing. When I was doing mailings for people going into foreclosures, and still to this day, I do, instead of, I put the letter, I have the address of the person, my return address, which by the way needs to be personal. Don't put a PO box as your return address. You can get those virtual offices and whatever. So there is all strategy there, how you do it, the type of stamps you want to use on the letter to get a better response, all the stuff. But one of the things I do under the address that I send to the person, I say bailout plans available. Okay. So again, you want to be discreet. You don't want the postman or all the neighbors start talking, oh, he's getting foreclosed, right? So bailout plans available. And so they kind of pique their interest in opening the letter. And then in the letter, I put, what's in for them, how I can actually help them, right? Because you one of the things that I noticed when I was sending, going back, when I was sending a ton of direct marketing, I would like everybody else for short sales. One day I went into this guy's house and he showed me on the kitchen table, he literally had a stack like this of letters that he had received, but he had called me. And I asked him, I says, why did you call me? He said, because you are not condescending. You are not saying things to me like, bad things happen to good people, or, I understand your house is going into foreclosure and things like that. And so a light bulb went off, and I was like, that's how I'm going to use my marketing strategies from now on. I will always be very sensitive to how they can perceive it. And you can say things without saying them, right?
Yeah.
For the same reason that I don't say I'm a wholesaler, I say I'm an investor working with other investors. It's the same thing, but
Mhm.
people have a stigma with the word wholesaler, so don't use it.
Definitely. And then another couple of tips I would give is the biggest mistake you can make is not having the decision makers present, meaning they could also be what we call the deal killers. So if you are talking and all of a sudden, you ask who all's involved, because what will happen is at the end, they will be like, well, I need to talk to my lawyer. I need to talk to the agent. I need to talk to this, and that. And so making sure that ahead of the conversation, once you kind of get through the preliminary, is that you talk and confirm who else is involved that is going to need to sign off on this. It will help and it will save a lot of other things. Okay. The other thing is don't just ask open-ended questions. You want to engage in this conversation. You want to have more of a monologue here. And you want to pay attention because a lot of what they say isn't how they're really feeling. So paying attention in between the lines and making sure that you are reading and all of that in between the lines. Okay. You really want to dig for why would they even want to sell? Why are they having a conversation with you? And why it matters, what is going on. And so I go back to how are you doing? What is going on here? Why do you want to sell? Dig a little deeper. If you hear them saying something else, you can also be like, okay, so what I'm gathering from what we've talked about is this. And sometimes they'll be like, yes, that's exactly how I was trying to word it. Because sometimes they don't know, just like you don't always know what to say. They don't know what to say or how to word what they're saying. Next in this, and if you have the PDF that we were giving out on Tuesday, I'm following this, but just diving in deeper. So there, you can follow with the PDF if you want like a concise, not so elaborate response. Okay, is to follow up. So one of the things that I see a lot of investors struggle with is the follow up. And 80 to 90% of your deals, depending on your list, is not going to come from the first call. It's going to come from the follow up. So at the end of the conversation, if you do need to get off, especially if you're new, and run numbers or consult with your mentor or somebody in the field and you need to get some questions answered and things like that, you're going to end it with, okay, I'm going to follow up with you at this time. And then no matter what, you follow up at that time. You call, you stop, you do what you need to do, and you follow up. Set alarms, put it in your calendar. I know near the holidays, some people will be like, yeah, can you get to me right after New Year's? Okay, set a date, set a time. Say if anything changes, this is my number. I'll remind you closer to that I'll be calling, all of that. So follow up, but also keep in mind that you have to be persistent. Sellers will disappear with you. And during our master classes, I give really good like strategies on how to get around that. But sellers will disappear on you. And so being persistent, you again are they may feel like you're bothering them, but you can't think that way. Take the emotion out of this business, or you will always feel like you're a bother and you will never get ahead. You just keep following up because you said you would, and you're a woman that stands by her word, right? So we stand by our words. So if we say we're going to follow up, we're going to follow up. And so being persistent, it takes time. I'm going to give you an average of what I'm seeing between students, but also between my business, between some of my coaches' businesses, things like that. They are closing deals anywhere from the 5th to the 12th follow-up. 5th to the 12th follow-up. So just kind of reminding you of that it may take a few times, but again, you were just standing by what you said you were going to do on the initial call, which is following up. And so like we just had a deal went through where we had to follow up 13 times. We just 13 times. I had another deal where it was 2 years of following up every month because I told them, okay, I'll give you a call in a month. And they welcome that. They come to expect it. And if they decide to move sooner, they will. Now, I'm wondering how many of you, and I would love to know into the chat, how many of you immediately think, oh, that sounds really bothersome. That sounds like I'm going to really annoy them, right? I want you to reframe it like we've been talking about. Take the emotion out. It's not a bother. It's not a bother when you're doing your job and you are standing by your word. Okay, so any feedback, anything you want to talk about? I'm not seeing many comments come through, but I see a lot of you watching, so I would love to know. The next thing is to keep your follow-up doing well, but also your deals to go well and smooth as you're going through the business is what? Keeping a CRM or some kind of follow-up system in play while you're doing it. Meaning, so we use Podio. There's another different types of CRMs. Your customer relationship management tool is what CRM stands for. And being able to record and review all of your calls. So like our CRM, we have recordings of every call we do so that we can review. It's for us, right? So that we can review, see how we sounded. And this really is important in the beginning when you are learning how to talk, because you can almost pinpoint what you could fix by listening to yourself without anyone else's help. Now, our students get the added benefit of they could bring their calls to our Thursday weekly call with our coach, and they will review that call and tell you how to help you get better. But for those of you that are not students, you can review your own calls and you will know. And at the end of the day, just kind of think, this is what I want. How would I want to be talked to? How would I want to be approached? And just mimic that to somebody else. And then the other thing is I want you to acknowledge your efforts. Cold calling is like 95% of anybody's fear. Like I've noticed if I get 100 women in the room, 95 of them are probably going to raise their hand and say that cold calling is what's stopping them. And so take the smaller steps. And also don't think too much about it. Just make the calls. It gets easier as you go. And so we have a student on Friday that's actually teaching the other students how to do this, how to make calls, get on the phone with sellers, and helping them, and agents, and helping them, because she was like, I lived in this fear for many, many months. And so she's paying it back. But when you integrate those cold calls and you get really, really good about it, what do you think is going to happen? The confidence is going to come through. Sellers are going to like your authenticity. They're going to like that you are there to help them. You are handling it in a really natural way without embarrassing them. You have a great introduction that doesn't sound scripted. You are asking questions, but without bothering them. You're following up as you say you will. It's really just really important that you just kind of remember that. Laura, do you want to say anything else on this?
No, I think you covered it pretty much all.
I tried to.
Is be yourself. That's the end of the day. Now, if you were, I always say that you see sometimes in the movies, people, somebody drives down the street and they see some house they like and they stop and talk to them, just have a conversation. That's the type of thing you need to do. Just be yourself, just don't worry about too much about who would wonder if I have the right script, or this a mentor says this, the mentor says that. At the end of the day, that's never going to be a good strategy. Just be yourself.
Yep. So we did provide a very brief overview of a script. It's not the one that we give our students, but it at least can get you going. So we did provide that in the PDF. And I'm going to go into raffle now, but the PDF, you just comment that you want the PDF and my team will get it for you. There you go. My team's already on it. CRM stands for, I'm seeing questions come in. So CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management Tool. And Podio is a CRM that I use. So it's Podio, and it's a CRM that I use. Now with Podio, I will say you have to build it out. They do have one where you could buy the packs, but again, it's a learning curve there. As any CRM is, it's a learning curve of how to use it and things like that too. So just kind of keep in mind that it takes a little bit. But in the beginning, do Google Sheets. You don't need this. When you are new, you don't need this robust CRM and all of that. You don't want to put all this money into your business so you're making deals, right? So I tell people all the time, use Google Sheets. I used it for the first couple of years, and then I paid someone else to build my Podio out based on how my business ran, because you want it customized to how you do business. And then I had them teach me how to use it once they built it out. So then they taught me how to use it so that I could use it going forward. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to do our cold call raffle here. Let me get this bigger. Here we go again. I do this every time and then we struggle with this. Nope, that's not working either. We're going to do it that way. Oh, well. Okay. I tried. So our cold call raffle, we do this every week on Thursdays, where you go into our Facebook group. If you're not in there, fill out the 3 questions so we can let you in. And then we just reward the people that interact the most. So we take 3 names of the people that we are seeing interacting the most throughout the week, just as a thank you for, being a part of our community and giving back to our community. And we spin a wheel and that person gets to win the prize of the week. And you have 1 week to claim it. So by the time I go live next week, you have to have claimed it then by emailing our assistant questions@realestateinvestingwomen.com. So what we're giving out this week is we're giving you out 50 free leads in an area of your choice. We're actually going to give you a very thorough script outline of how to talk to sellers. This is a win, like a raffle. It's different than the PDF. So we'll be giving that to our winner. So our winner this week is Yolanda Stewart. So congratulations, Yolanda. I see you're on too. So I hope you're still on, but you are the winner and you just have to email into Amanda. Congratulations. Okay. Let me fix this again. There we go. Getting better. So I just kind of want to see if there's any questions you have about cold calling, if you need any help. And Laura, while I wait for the questions to come in, do we want to talk about what's coming up on Tuesday?
Sure.
Okay. Do you want to? Or do you want me to?
I thought you wanted kind of me verifying that we want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is actually something that we haven't done in a while, probably since last year, and way into the beginning of last year. And we call it a meeting of the minds mastermind. This goes into different things. First of all, you don't know what you don't know yet when it comes to real estate, right? So a lot of you say, okay, I don't know what the steps, I don't know where to start, I don't know what I don't know. So this one here is kind of gives you the steps of what you need to know in order to be successful in the business. And this is something that we have developed with years of experience working with students, a lot of them from the beginning stages, knowing where they want to go, but they don't know where to start. So that's how we call it meeting of the minds. And we're going to explain to you exactly what you need to do, what you need to be aware of in order to have a successful business. And so then you're gonna have an assessment, so you grade yourself to see where you are in a different phase. If you are in the beginning, you're probably going to be all at the ground level, and that's fine, but then at least you know what you need to know, right? Then we're going to talk about expectations. Expectations, if you're wholesaling, buy and hold, fix and flip, give you some rule of thumbs, things that you know that you can grasp to. So one of the things I always say, you want to set, I like goals that, yeah, of course, you think about long-term goals, but I like goals that for me are achievable in the next 6 months to a year. That makes it more real for me and something I can grasp and, put my mind around it. So we're going to help you how to create quote unquote realistic goals or realistic to you so that you can use real estate to achieve those goals. So, because the thing is about real estate, you want to make some money, but there is something behind it, right? Maybe you want to quit your job, or maybe you want to travel more, maybe you want to help family, get your kids through college, or help a parent, whatever the case might be, but you need money, right? So we're going to kind of solidify what your goals are, and then we're going to show you using any of the real estate strategies how you can get to those specific goals. So that's the next thing we're going to do. So we're going to go also into mindset, because there is a lot behind it that you need to really work on in getting your mindset in the right place so you can go achieve your goals, so you can use real estate. So we're having this amazing, it's called Meeting of the Minds Mastermind. And then at the end of it, we're also going to explain to you, if you want to be part of the community and work with us more closely, how you can do that. But regardless, there is a ton of good information we're going to share. We're going to give you really practical tips. You're finally going to know what you need to know to really get started and make this business successful. So we're posting a link here to joining to the Meeting of the Mastermind. Like I said, we haven't done it in over a year. So this is something we're just bringing back, and honestly, we don't do this often because it's something that we offer once in a while to help you really um, understand what you need to know in this business in order to be successful, and then obviously how you can be part of the community if you feel like that's the next step.
Definitely. So I don't see any questions coming in. So I guess we don't have any questions today about cold calling. So I would love to know what your takeaways were, what landed for you. I hope that this was helpful, at least for a few tips and that PDF. But also, if you check out our posts from throughout the week, not on YouTube, but if you're on our Instagram or you're in our Facebook community, you will see posts going out of different things with tips, strategies, videos, all kinds of stuff. But I didn't want to be repetitive and bring it to the live as well. So you might want to go check that. And so we have a lot going on as far as cold calling. And yeah, I guess that's it, Laura.
Yeah. Great. Well, thanks everybody for being here today. Hopefully, this was informative. I know cold calling is always one of those areas that people have issues with. Don't let it scare you. And I will see you next week. And don't forget to join us on the mastermind on Tuesday.
Yes. Bye, everyone. Have a great weekend.